Welcome learners to the EPG Parshala. The topic that we are going to discuss now is professionalism in films and availability of jobs for women. In this module, we'll be talking about four themes. First of all, we'll describe the different jobs which are available for women in the industry. Then we'll talk about the different struggles women go through in the industry to establish themselves. Then in the third sub-theme, we'll talk about the different changes that industry has itself gone through to bring about these changes of incorporating women in the industry itself. And towards the end, we'll talk about the whole idea of casting couch through which the women suffers in the Indian film industry. So let us talk about all these themes one by one. When we talk about the women professionals in Indian film industry, ever since the films started, at that moment only, the female artists were not included in the films. In fact, the male actors used to act even for the female cast. But things started to change later on, and some of the prominent names arrived, and those were Kamalabai Gokhale, Fatima Begum, Jadanbai, Saraswati Devi, T.P. Rajalakshmi, Koma Reddy Savitri, Paluvai Bhanumati Ramakrishna, Arundhati Devi, Prema Karant, and Vijaya Nirmala. These are the women pioneers who break the glass ceiling. Now let us talk about them a bit, who they were. Stage actress Fatima Begum she created the history. She was India's first entrepreneur director. She established her production company, Fatima Films, later rechristened as Victoria Fatima Films. Bulbul-e Paristan 1926 was the first landmark Indian film that was directed by a female director. Two early women composers were Jagdanbai and Saraswati Devi. Hailing from the family of Tawayef, Jagdanbai, an actress and singer, was to become the country's first woman music director with the film Talash-e-Haq in 1935. In the Tamil cine industry, Meenakshi Narayanan was the first woman sound engineer. She entered the film industry in the 1930s. Three other women actor-directors pioneers in their own rights became trendsetters as actor-cum-technicians in the cine world. They too were from the Tamil Telugu film industry. The three legends were Thiruvayaru Panchpakesha Rajalakshmi, TPR, Komareddy Savitri, and Puluvayu Bhanumati Ramakrishna. For Arundhati Devi, the wife of filmmaker Tapan Sena, the lines between real and real lives blurred. Her real life unfolds like a silver screen drama. Her first film was Yatrik 1952. 15 years later, she directed her first film, Megho Rodra. She bravely challenged the boundaries of her times, paving the way for other women directors. Her cellular journey came to an end in 1990 when she passed away. Prema Karant, a well-known dramatist and filmmaker, much like her celebrated husband B.V. Karant, directed Faniyama, her directorial debut in 1983. Before that, she worked as a costume designer and art director too. She is an important female director of the Kannada films. Vijaya Nirmala's name figured in the Guinness Book of World Records 2000 as a prolific female director. She directed 42 films, the maximum number by any female director worldwide. With more than 200 films to her credit, she directed Meena, her first Kannada film, in 1973. She also directed Malayalam and Tamil films. Now she stays in Hyderabad and manages Padmalaya Studios and Padmalaya Telefilms Limited. When we talk about the Indian film industry, there is an inbuilt conflict, and the professionals are going through a conflict in the unorganized sector, and they are to some extent being exploited. So let us talk about this whole idea of the inbuilt conflict and professionals in organized sector and exploitation in this theme. When it comes to professionalism, the cine industry is offering employment to trained professionals. These people are replacing the errand boys, uneducated but street smart, who made it to the top, the traditional Mukaddar Ka Sikandar syndrome. Some of them are still around. Since they were exploited, they believe in perpetuating it. But things are now changing. That is the sunny side up for the industry. Women are on the rise among the technical workforce too. Some celebrated insiders were exclusively interviewed telephonically or via emails for this module, and those are being put one by one. So let us know what Jyoti Madnani Singh says. She is a prominent costume designer and stylist in Bollywood, and in an email interview, she said that let us first talk about the reason behind the unorganized nature of film industry. She quotes, "It is largely unorganized because people seriously don't pursue it as a business and don't think of it as a real industry. Like every business has a plan, barring few corporate, no one has a business plan or roadmap in Bollywood." Unquote. She further adds, quote, "The cinema industry is relying on trained professionals because there is increase in number of educated people getting into industry. There's influx of educated people in industry. In general, the impression of Bollywood has well changed in society. There are lots of institutions at local and recognized level offering professional courses which can provide ticket to Bollywood. Young minds are pursuing those courses. Suddenly there's an influx of young professionals. Now when there's availability of market, certainly will pick the best and place the best. But but the business module hasn't changed. It is merely called industry, but certainly it is still to achieve the status of genuine industry. Therefore, it presents an inbuilt conflict to close observers." Unquote. Further, Alankrita Srivastava, who is a film writer, director, and producer, she revealed that I think film industry is still a hugely disorganized space. So while the corporate have come in, on the one hand, the traditional feudal dynastic dynamics have not changed. It is not a space of equal opportunity because belonging to a film family is a game changer. However, having said that, the film industry is a place that very easily wipes out class distinctions, and anybody can rise and make it. She further adds that as for trained professionals, we do not have a host of filmmakers, actors, technicians who are formally trained. Most technicians come from institutes like FTII and FAIR trained professionals. This continues to be the case, though now there are many more private institutes as well. How a filmmaker, a writer, an actor, a cinematographer gets work is still very haphazard. There are no guarantees, no proper system. In another exclusive telephonic interview, a renowned editor, Irene Dharmalik, says film is an organized industry. Almost the entire money goes to the stars. People are expected to work long hours. The technicians often get little or no money. If you want to be treated as equals, read here like men, you are exploited on that count too. Even at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. after finishing work, there are no facilities for dropping women technicians home. We manage amongst ourselves with male colleagues taking care of us. The financial exploitation in filching ideas is most commonplace. Without naming anyone, Irene agonized, well-known names and large production houses pay smaller amounts. Many a times, a large part of the money might not be paid at all. This is because the stars and actors take the lion's share, the smaller production houses promise smaller amounts and honor it. She further said that there is a steady increase of trained professionals in the industry. In 1989, when I was studying in Pune, FTII Pune, there were only 3 girls among 30 students, but in 2004, when I was teaching there, 40% of the students were girls. She said that there is a steady increase of trained professionals in the industry. In 1989, when I was studying in FTII Pune, there were only 3 girls among 30 students. But in 2004, when I was teaching there, 40% of the students were girls. In fact, women are mostly trained professionals. There are large numbers of girls among the assistants in various departments now. If not the mainline cinema, many women are documentary filmmakers now. Mrinalini Patil, a doctor and a social worker who is also a passionate filmmaker, he said that there has been a steady rise in the number of women in the cine industry, though they hardly constitute any percentage of the male-dominated workforce. There are lots of assistants in various departments of filmmaking. She opined that highly qualified professionals are now trickling in the regional film industry too. She stated, "I have an efficient IT professional as my assistant. She is smart, intelligent, analytical in her approach. Though all women are naturally good in multitasking, a qualified women technician is a blessing. The growth of education among women in India is largely responsible for better ambience in the cine industry too." So these are some of the points made by different professionals working in the area of filmmaking, and they actually put the whole concept at how the unorganized this sector is, and because of this unorganized sector, the different kind of exploitations and the problems the women face in the industry. There, although there is a counter discourse too, where some of the filmmakers who say that film industry is organized. So some of the statement made by different filmmakers are, first of all, Meghna Puri, who is the director of Whistling Woods and International. First of all, let's talk about Meghna Puri. She is director of Whistling Woods International and daughter of Subhas Bhai. She said in an exclusive interview that film industry is no longer disorganized. Professionals have professionalized the industry. Another person, that is Tula Goenka, who is a US-based filmmaker, author, human rights activist, and professor. On the issue of exploitation of the workforce in general and women in particular, Tula explained, Indian cinema lacks a strong trade unions for its workers, and it does not have a structured studio system like Hollywood. Therefore, producers can get away with paying low wages, demanding low hours of work, providing no benefits, etc. So, this continuous counter discourse goes on. Then there is another idea of Parivarvad and star kids in the Indian film industry. Mrunalini, she said that it's difficult for non-filmy people to make a mark in the film industry. The game changer often is which family you come from. Politics and film suffer from the same malaise, parivarvad or dynastic rule. If you are from powerful film family, people will take you seriously. That is much easier for Farhan Akhtar or his sister Zoya. The Kapoor clan has been ruling the industry for many years. This exploitation, lack of level playing field, gets underplayed often. Bhakti Mayalu, who is the daughter of celebrated Marathi film director Raj Dutt, is an editor in Marathi films. She said that it is easy for people with family background to get an entry in the films. You may reach the door easily, but the journey is your own. If you are not good, you will be stop getting the work. It is not enough to be Raj Dutt's daughter. One has to prove his or her worth too. Now, towards the end, let's talk about the whole idea of what the casting couch is and how women have to suffer this casting couch in the Indian film industry. The first recorded evidence of casting couch in Bollywood is in 1951. Life magazine's photographer James Burke had shot what went on behind closed doors in the showbiz world. These early pictures are from the auditions held by A.R. Kardar. In 2004, actress Preeti Jain, alias the director Madhur Bhandarkar, had sexually abused her from 1999 to 2004 in lieu of a role in his film. Doe-eyed Madhurima, a Mumbai girl and upcoming actress in Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, and Bollywood, said in a telephonic interview, some people are preferred because they obliged and cooperated or were star kids. People from the film fraternity have a distinct edge. I lost many chances to them. The casting couch is partly true. Those who do not want to take shortcuts face problems. This exploitation of women in the cinema industry is further substantiated by choreographer Shabina Khan. She opined that exploitation of women is rampant all over. At many places, they are not safe in their homes. After marriage, they might be sexually exploited by Jade's husband's elder brother and Sasur's father-in-law. In corporate sectors, among teachers and lawyers too, I have known such cases. Dignity depends on a woman. I have led a dignified and respectable life in Bollywood. Therefore, I know. These days, girls are smart too. They too know how to use their sexuality. It takes two to tango. People compromise. कुछ माहौल ने बदल दिया, कुछ हालात ने बदल दिया. MBS changed something and conditions changed something. That's what she adds. Different minds, different thoughts. Now, let us talk about the influx of women in Bollywood. On the issue of influx of women in the film industry, including the technical side, Jyoti has enumerated the reasons. The reasons are career in cinema is no more considered a taboo to the extent it was considered earlier. The great Indian middle class is willing to educate girl child. Education opens window to the world. In an era of World Wide Web, the youth is aware, it aspires and dreams. Bollywood is a shortcut to fame, popularity. India is dreaming big, and so are the girls of India. And in the communication and connection era, it's not that tough today to give a shot to your dream and chase them. Ideally, in my opinion, now the question for study and service should be what percentage of women continue to work in Bollywood after the first 3 to 5 years and post marriage. Herein, I am talking about the technicians as well as executives. When talking about the working conditions for women, Alankrita has further stated that as for working conditions not being conducive to women, technicians I am not sure. I think the conditions are the same. Sometimes when you are shooting, there are issues of no rest rooms being available for women, and definitely there are no daycare facilities for women with children. And maybe it's a crew that cracks a lot of sexist, misogynistic jokes. I'm sure a union dedicated to women working conditions would help, but I don't think that's the real answer. The answer lies in the market becoming more open to content that is created from a female perspective. That will encourage more women to work in films and that will change the situation. Now, let us discuss the subhead, that is the women in India and world cinema and the road ahead. Despite the government and the courts being in favor of women, they still remain a minority. This is true of the Indian and the world cinema industry. A study on Indian cinema, The Dark Side of Bollywood study, reveals shocking facts about women in the Indian film industry by Priyamvada Bhagwati, which was published in Youth Ki Awaaz October 3, 2014. It revealed startling facts. It reported India tops the chart in showing attractive women in its movie, and as much as 35% of these female characters are shown with some nudity, finds the first ever UN sponsored global study of female characters in popular films across the world. Further, Meghna pointed out that today women are leaders in the industry. People like Ekta Kapoor, Farah Khan, Zoya Akhtar, Ashwini Yardi are all people who have made a mark for themselves in the industry. And are now several of my alumni who are doing extremely well, for instance, Chaitali Pamar, who is associate director of the film Queen, and the Ahana Kumra, who acted with Mr. Bachchan in a TV series called Yudh. And she further said that I am certain women will do very well in this industry as they are great in multitasking and our films could do with a more feminine approach to them. So, learners, we discussed different ideas related to professionalism in films and different availability of jobs for the women in the Indian film industry. What we talked about in this module was what are the problems that women face in the Indian film industry because of largely being an organized sector. But there are some counter views where they said that now professionals are coming in and the industry is becoming much more professional. But at the same time, some of the critiques say that still there is an absence of labor unions in Indian film industry, and that's why people are paid very less. Also, we talked about the whole idea of casting couch, how it went on from decades and still women are facing that problem. And at the same time, how star kids are being given more and more roles apart from those professionals who are coming from different institutes without any background. So these are the different problems that women face in the area of Indian film industry. I hope you enjoyed this module. Thank you.